deliver them from the evil they're in. So the deliverance comes from mercy and truth. It was really good. I said, that is unbelievable. You know, it's like, and then there's a
Verse 6.
verse 6.
By
It was
mercy, by loving kindness or mercy and truth, iniquity is atoned for, and by the fear of the Lord one keeps away from it.
Now, what translation is that?
New Americans.
Yeah, I read from King James, so.
Yeah.
But also verse 4 talks about that the mercy that God, that the, verse 4, read verse 4.
The Lord has made everything for its own purpose, even the wicked for the day of evil.
I love that one too. It's like, that's amazing. You know, that he made, like the evil that we're dealing with in the world today, it's God made it.
And then
It's all-
verse
it's his, he,
Well, he made the angel that then made the evil. You know, it's so.
but he knows,
Yes, he
he's
does.
aware of it.
Yeah.
And there's another verse that talks, I forget where it was. It's
verse 5 says, everyone who is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Assuredly he will not go unpunished.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
proverb.
there's like a stream of thought that's there that ties
Right.
it all together.
So I read it to my wife and did a little devotional on it, you know.
Yeah, a lot of proverbs are they go from one subject to the next.
Well, I noticed that
This
a lot
chapter
of,
has a lot more continuity to it.
I noticed in Proverbs that you'll have 3 verses that are positive for the believer, then you'll have 3 that are negative towards the unbeliever. Like back in, you know, and that's interesting because Christ didn't die for evil. He died. You have to see it for what it is, and you have to change. You know?
Well, the change is the transforming of one's thinking
No,
through the Word of God.
that's
Because,
the fear of God.
yeah,
Like Psalm 119, 165.
Great peace.
Great peace have they that love thy law. Let nothing shall offend thee. So it's not the letter, it's the love. It's the love that God has given us that causes us not to be, when things come against us, we want to react to it and we can get rid of it quickly. But
That Hebrew word for love in there really, it has this connotation of loyalty. Loyalty to the law. This is how I love the law, by being loyal to it, by staying consistent.
you know, it's interesting because, yeah, the loyalty and the love, but what kind of love is that? It's the love of God.
Uh-oh,
And the love of
who's
God
Carrie's here?
has to deal with the issue of the person. Because people who love things, they don't get any love back.
boy, I think the key is that the fear of the Lord. And that what is the fear of the Lord? It's reverential, like you said. It's the love. It's the love. It's the great peace. Have they that love thy law? The love of God.
You, sir?
The
So
love of
when,
God.
are you going for the long? Are you going for it longer or?
I don't know, one of these days I might walk in the bathroom and walk out a different man.
Parents get 2 husbands.
That's what I do sometimes.
One of my favorite rock bands is ZZ Top.
Okay.
Billy Gibbons has got his down to his waist.
When we were in Australia, one of the things we used to do, very interesting, you should try this with your wife, you'll die laughing. We would
His wife is right
get
there.
on the sofa, feet up on the back, and lay down, and you cover everything, not your hair, but you cover everything around you so you can't, and you start talking, and it's like you're upside down. So you would have hair on your head. And it's just really interesting.
That is very interesting.
It is very, we used to die laughing because everybody's face was different. and we would just do it for entertainment.
So it would be like, that would be his hair on his head.
Yeah. And it distorts everything, but you look like
Sure
it.
it does.
And then you basically talk with a different voice. You like talk like a kid's voice. And it's funny. And you have to try it to see it.
Do you think his wife would enjoy it?
We did it once. I did it.
I didn't think anybody else thought that way.
I
I was the only one.
That's funny. Well, you just met another one.
So like you were on an island, huh?
Yeah. Well, then you start looking at the walls and what's on it and how everything is distorted. It's kind of fun. It's just cheap entertainment.
Yeah, right. Don't need batteries.
No.
Don't need. Doesn't break down. Galatians chapter 2. Because we had a good, Pastor Jeff brought out Proverbs 16. Was it 16?
16,
Jeff brought out Proverbs 16. Was it 16?
16, yeah.
16.
16.
16, yeah. God's talking to us. Says, my son. Like, we're his sons. Like, we're his sons. We're his children.
Yeah. How often do people think that God is looking for submission?
Yeah.
Bow down before me. That's a satanic spirit.
Well,
Because it's a matter of like going back to what we started with, the issue of control. And so if you can legislate through the law submission, but it's not voluntary. It's not out of the source of love. You can't legislate someone to love you. But if they love you, they don't need to be controlled. They don't need to have, something done to them. So the issue of love, great peace have they that love God's law, but not as an object, but as a relationship.
a relationship.
Because, people can love things, but the thing that they love is not loving them back.
Yeah.
But the love of God not just loves it, but here it is love that God first loved us. And wow, here's Maryland. Wow, we got the forces
Wow.
today. Yeah. Hey.
Hey, Marilyn. Good to see you.
So yeah, this is
Good, how are you?
so let's go back to we were talking earlier about habits. And how that I think is something that has to do with age. Because children don't have habits. They just do
Yeah.
the next thing.
Think about it.
If the next thing is going over there, but I guess when we get older, we're more or less prone, I guess, to forget. So we organize our lives through habit so that we don't forget to do what we know should be done, needs to be done.
Routine.
It is
And then you
routine.
don't have to think about it, you just,
You don't have to think
the
about it.
things that aren't important, you don't think about it.
Yeah. And you know it's done.
Yeah,
It's automatic.
yeah.
Wow.
Then I don't remember if I did it
I
because
would,
it's all.
I would actually,
You don't have to remember that you did.
I
No,
would
but
pick
like
up
turning off the
people
stove
at the
and things
airport
like,
and Jeff
it's so
Bakers
automatic, I
coming
don't
to
remember
Lennox
doing it.
years ago. Oh, you can't hear me. I'm getting new hearing aids on the 15.
Yay!
These don't work. Not anyway. I picked them up, and anyway, one of the guys was staying at Fox Hollow, in the condos, and I had to pick him up at a certain time because being young, I was always late for something. And he's sitting there waiting, and I was, oh, I'm so sorry. He says, no, don't be, you're all right. He says, I have to be on time in my life, but I don't need you to be on time. And I saw that really ministered to me. I never forgot it.
Apparently,
But it was age that did that in him. That he would not judge anybody. I mean, he's on time because I need to be here.
It was part of his identity almost, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he
For
was
his job.
very broken man and very full of wisdom. And it goes along with its habit, like you said. The habits we do are as unto God. They really are. Like, why do I do that in the morning with the dishes and at night?
right.
It blesses my wife. She gets really tickled with it, that I do that. And then she'll kind of jokingly mock me when I miss a spot.
So your habit is
Yeah.
falling apart.
Yeah. Oh boy. My wife says, how do you get toothpaste in the drawer all over the place in my bathroom? Which she has hers, I have mine. So
Is that right?
she says, I couldn't believe how much toothpaste was in there. And I said, I have no idea how it gets in there.
Squeezing it while you put it in.
I guess I'm brushing my teeth with the door open and it's splattering everything.
This is going nationwide. You don't have to.
I know.
But anyway,
We have grandkids
So-
living in our house.
so
So
now-
that's
Oh
the
yeah, that's
explanation.
more fun.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
explanation.
so now I'm keen
Handy
on that. It's
explanation.
why. So I look every now and then, oh wow, it's in there again. How can that happen? But
Same here. Baking soda all over the sink.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
All over the sink.
oh boy.
isn't it amazing that, the notion of a relationship, romantic relationships, which is meaning that there's no baking soda, there's no toothpaste, there's no, socks left, it's like, oh, of course not, like, relationship is perfect. But when you get married, then you discover these things, you're a human being. You are, and you have an old sin nature. Oh my gosh! So then the characteristic of a different kind of love kicks in because without that, there's no future for that relationship. You'll grind each other down on what's wrong and like why this and how come you do that. I remember counseling a person who his wife wanted to divorce him because he sat up in the bed and he didn't get, under the covers, so to speak. But he always would fall asleep outside of the bed. And
Outside the covers, you mean?
yeah. So I mean, and she would tell him, get in the bed, which makes sense.
So let's get divorced.
But I don't know where that came from, childhood or whatever, who knows? He knows. But the issue was that that rubbed her the wrong way.
Wow.
It's
But it
just
has, I think, probably has more to,
inconsistency with
it
that.
has more to do with an unwillingness to change, probably.
Well, that and no mercy. This is
Yeah,
what we're talking about.
that's where you learn it.
That's true.
It might just be.
Because when I talk to young people that are getting married, I tell them, I said, what an amazing gift that is. I said, you are going to grow like you've never grown before getting into this marriage. I said, because you're marrying a sinner. You're both marrying a sinner, and you have to figure it out. There's no instructions.
Which
Except for the
hill are
Word
you
of
gonna
God.
die on, huh?
And they look at me like, what are you talking? I said, well, when you get married, it's all about emotions and feeling. It's like, ooh, this is fun, vacation time, whatever. But then when you go back to that vacation again the second time, it's not the same. You only have one time. And it's like the marriage. All of a sudden, when the marriage really begins to go in the right direction is when you choose to love a person. And love becomes something, it's like faith. You know, we can sit in a chair, we have faith. But faith that God has, we walk through a wall. We can walk through walls. We can move mountains because of faith. We can, and that's, a person told me a while ago they were having a problem with things that happened in the ministry. And they said, I don't feel like I'm growing here. You know, I feel like I need to go to another church. And I said, well, remember, growth is not an external thing. It's internal. And you will grow, and you are growing, but it's internal. With these things cause your mind to get set straight.
Well, you know, just like what you're saying in terms of in marriage. So now the focus today, unfortunately, I mean, maybe it's been that way longer, is on the wedding ceremony. You know, so like all the emotions, like, you know, channeled down to the day. And, you know, so everything has to be perfect. Everything
For the
in
woman.
place.
For the woman, for the man, it's like, get this thing over with.
Well, that's on your end. I'm not going.
Never express that. Don't express that.
No, that's right. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, so people will spend incredible, inordinate amounts of money on the event, the marriage, the wedding event. But the marriage is for the rest of your life.
Right.
And so when you see that couple, you know, exchanging vows, they're at the weakest part of their relationship. That's the weakest that they will be. But they're making these exorbitant claims. But for us, I mean, it's God that's going to hold that together. Not how elaborate and how lengthy or how, you know, emotional those vows may be exchanged. But yeah, so then you wake up and you realize, like you're saying, you married someone who, did you marry a concept or did you marry a person? And so reality comes through adversity. Reality of the fact that I'm, you know, now one flesh and they're one flesh, but they're not perfect. They are sinners, but by means of the grace of God, that's the only provision. That's the only provision. I mean, unbelievers can get married, and by reason of it being a divine institution, it has its provision. But then they could die and go to hell. You know,
Right.
without redemption.
They got it, yeah.
But so they could have a good life
They
here.
could have all the principles.
Ecclesiastes 9, you know, like you have your portion in this life. And that's rather scary because you might think this is what it is, you know, this is what life is. And you have no understanding of the afterlife, the life to come, so you don't prepare for it. You know, you're living on this side of eternity. But when you can have an eternal perspective, and isn't it interesting, Jesus said that, you know, in heaven you will not have your wife or husband.
Interesting.
You know, and that upsets some people. Because they think, you know, like, this is the best thing happening. But there's something greater. And if you can discover that by reason of growth, so you grow in the marriage, you grow into this other relationship with Christ. Because Paul says, you know, the man will leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife. And but I tell you that this is a mystery. And I'm speaking of Christ and the church, this relationship of is what then empowers that relationship, like, you know, like, you know, a $150,000 wedding can't.
That's quite a wedding, $150,000.
Hey, that's
That's
like
the
action.
son, yeah.
I'm gonna-
Really
I'm-
serious.
I'm gonna share this one thought for the benefit of these folks and maybe some others, but I went to Pastor Wright and Angie's wedding back in Leonard.
You're that old.
Ah, so that's,
You know where this is going. I said,
this is the inside
and I'm gonna tell you,
information
this
here.
is why she looks so young. She
She
looks
look,
happy.
she's young. He's a cradle
You know,
daughter.
maybe a third of his age, but anyway. So there's a reason why. And yeah, the cup,
Cup, oh,
yeah,
cup.
when they did the communion. And he took a sip or whatever, not a big thing, you know, just maybe a gulp, a little gulp. And then Pastor handed it to Angie. And it was not a small glass, it was pretty big. And she's like, everybody in the church lost it. And the pastor said, no, this is very serious. She is drinking the whole cup for a reason. What's about that? You know, you didn't even, that's like, you probably didn't even know what was going on. It was like you knew it was right. I have to do this.
Finish.
And now, you know,
So
and now,
she's the example of the finished work.
you know,
I'm the example of the law.
but she drank the whole cup because of the meaning of that cup. It was more than it was probably the most,
When you're having communion, the thing that you say is drink all of it.
That's right.
Yeah, but
And that's all I thought. I have to drink it all. But then he brought the spiritual meaning behind it. Because everybody started cracking up. But then it was like so powerful. It was like,
can you imagine if he
So when
drank
the
most of it
law-
and you got it and looked at it and said, oh, what is that? You know, but it, because the man,
It was
because
in my
the
mind, I
man,
need to share this.
but you know what? The man is number in a pound of thumb.
Sorry?
The man is number in a pound of thumb.
on the phone? What?
number?
Number than a pounded thumb.
Oh, number.
Then a pounded thumb?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought you
Yeah.
were
But it's-
speaking
I
another
never heard
tongue.
But
that.
it's like-
I know, me too.
But we learn,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wake up.
See, that's another thing, like that gentleman that I was taking to the conference, that thought that he said, and then that scene when you did that, never forgot it. There's certain things that happen in our lives that we remember. Somebody said a word or
Remove
something.
not the old landmarks.
Amen,
Yes.
yeah.
And that's another message in itself.
Yes.
The landmark wasn't anything beautiful. It was just a couple of rocks piled up in the desert. No rain to wash it away. No. I mean, those rocks were there. And that's probably how the Old Testament got written. A lot of it. It was a grandfather telling his grandchildren, I remember what happened. This is the altar that I built. And the pastor used to say, you got to take your marriage and have an altar for your marriage. The altar is making a choice, and you build out with all. This is a few stones. You didn't like sit there and look for the perfect. But we do that, and that's another message that ministered to me about the altar.
Yeah. We recently spoke on Noah.
Who?
Noah. And how the first thing that he did when he came out of the ark was to build an altar.
Amen.
So the ark represents salvation, rescue from the flood. But the altar speaks of fellowship and communion with God. So after we get saved, and it's all, you know, the grace of God that we do, then we choose to have that fellowship. We build the ark. We build the altar. We built the ark, but we also build an altar. And without
Long time ago now, the fifties,
But
sixties.
they've proven that, yeah, no, that's it.
Is that they actually have said that that's it because I've heard it.
That art,
I have a
that in
book,
the
I have a
sixties.
book that
I heard about it in
documents
the
it.
sixties, 1960s.
Yeah.
I have a book that documents it. They've done a lot of actual scientific study on these things. And,
The Turks didn't want
and,
Yeah.
you know, it's the right size, it's 300 cubits.
Yeah.
And they even found boards put together by, it's pitch, it's
Hard
called
pitch.
pitch. They have found three of them put together. I mean, it all is very consistent with the biblical account.
And then the altar.
So, and then the altar is
Yeah.
like right nearby.
You forgot one thing when you mentioned salvation, then relationship, and then he built a vineyard and he got drunk. It showed what his capacity. Brothers come up from behind backwards and covered it.
Yeah,
And the one was telling them what had happened.
that's
And he
beautiful,
was
covering.
looking by sight, and the other two would not look by
Yeah.
sight.
Well, out of the mouth of two or more witnesses, a matter is established.
Yeah.
So he couldn't even
Did the
verbally
right thing.
heard, but for them to walk backwards and lay the blanket
Who are
over
they
the
talking about? I forgot.
What's that?
Who are they
and you
talking
and I would